and I am in a different location. I'm down in West Wales with the family, and as you can see, there's the fairy house. Okay, so LinkedIn is a very powerful network at the moment for doing something that I bang on about quite often, which is establishing your authority within your specific field. It's a really good vehicle, if you like, for posting as regularly or as irregularly as you want to about your specialist subject. It's very much being used by companies and people when they're buying products and services to sort of verify or check that a little bit like a website. People go to your website, but they'll also visit your LinkedIn profile as well to sort of get some backing up, if you like, as to your credentials, I guess. So the more content that you can post on LinkedIn, the more professional you can look on LinkedIn, or should I say, the more you can reflect what your brand's about on LinkedIn, the better. So, do you have a pen and paper ready? Because I'm not going to fly them thick and fast, but I am going to try and address 10 do's or don'ts in terms of what you should be up to on LinkedIn. As usual, I've got some notes to make sure that I don't miss any of them. And again, if you do have any specifics, please pop them in the chat. So, tip number 1 is do make your profile public. So by default, a lot of the privacy settings will be not to show your posts to everybody. So they do restrict via default who can see and who can interact with you. So I'd encourage you all to go to your settings and look at the privacy settings and select the ones that are right for you. I'm not going to tell you that you need to make everything public, but you know, it is a social network, and if you want to be discovered, then I'd allow people to discover you, right? And allow people to invite you to different events and invite you to like their pages and so on and so forth. So go on to your settings, get into the privacy settings, and make sure that your profile is clicked to be public. There's tip number 1 that you should do. The second part of the tip number 1 is just make sure that your profile is filled out properly, okay? One of the best tips I can give you is the little description that pops up every time you make a comment or interact with someone. Don't just say that you're a company director or that you're the IT manager. Make sure that you put on there a really accurate description as to what you do and maybe the problem that you solve. Yeah, because everywhere that you go on LinkedIn, you'll leave a little stamp or a little business card, if you like, an electronic business card of your product or services. So make sure that your profile is public and that you filled in all of the bits as much as you possibly can. You don't need to put your birthday in there. You don't need to put what school you went to, but the more information that you put into your profile, the more people are able to sort of get to know you, I suppose, when they're looking to engage with you. Now, my second do or don't is a don't. Don't use external links within your post. This is true for most social media sites, but they want to keep you on the site as much as possible. So make sure that you embed the content that you post, either upload it natively to LinkedIn as a platform, or get a little conversion to allow it to allow people to stay on the platform when they're looking at those links. So a typical one that people use is they post an article that was featured in a newspaper or something. But you can imagine the first time people click on that, they then get sent away from LinkedIn. And what LinkedIn want to do is they want to keep you on the platform for as long as possible. So you get a little black mark, if you like. I suppose what I should do is explain a little bit more about how posting works on LinkedIn. So when you post on your profile, a bot, a little computer program, will come along and look at the profile. It'll the post. It'll make sure that it's within the rules that LinkedIn allow you to post about, but it will also check if there's an external link. And what it'll do is it won't promote your post if it's got an external link as much as it would if it didn't. Okay, so it will only show your post to a small selection of your first connections to start off with. And what it'll do is it will come back to your profile every sort of 20, 30 minutes or so to check how much interaction the posts have had. And I'll come on to why that's important and what you should do about that further on in my do's and don'ts. But if you like, Big Brother is watching, LinkedIn are checking, all right, how popular the posts are, and the algorithm, the very clever algorithm, will promote your posts the more engagement it gets. If you are sending people away from LinkedIn, it's not going to want to promote your post over other posts. You can actually get yourself thrown in something called LinkedIn jail if you are a repeat offender and keep trying to, and there's a number of reasons why you would get into LinkedIn jail, but one of them is repeatedly putting up posts that send people away from the platform. And then it becomes very hard to get yourself out of jail, as it were, metaphorically. All right. So there we go. Don't use external links if you can possibly help it. One of the tips is if you do have to use an external link, then you can post it in the first line of the comments, and that doesn't, for whatever reason, get flagged by the bot. Okay. Tip number 3. Be more personal, or have more of a presence on your personal page than you do on your business page. Now, this is a little bit contentious. Some people will say that you should, promote your business page. In terms of your time and where you should appropriate your time, by all means, have a business page, but I reckon 75-25, 80-20, the majority of your time you should spend building up your personal page, because ultimately that's what LinkedIn is about. It's about personal connections, and the people want to know about you. And yes, of course, you can post about your business, but ultimately it's that human personal connection as to the reason why you're connected on LinkedIn, rather than people connected to your business, as it were. So if you want to think about, like, if I do have a business page, how much time and effort should I spend more time, significantly more time on your personal page than you do on your company page. That's tip number 3. Tip number 4, don't just like things, and I use like as in giving a thumbs up, without leaving some kind of meaningful comment. So the algorithm is a really sort of clever thing. So if you want to show your support for your connections, then by all means leave a like, right? But the algorithm treats a like, and I use that as a lazy like, because it's a double tap, or it's the first one that happens when you press the fact that you want to leave a thumbs up, that you like it. If you press and hold the like button, you'll get a series of emotions like celebrate, love, support, that you're curious, and there's now a new one which allows you to sort of say that you find it funny, that it's humorous. So if you give people the love heart, then the algorithm says, oh, do you know what, someone's taken the time to actually select a different emoji, they must be more invested within that post. And the same goes for leaving a comment. Don't just leave a little comment, a rubbish one that says great post or nice one, Miles, because the algorithm almost ignores the little 2 or 3 word comments, because it doesn't see that as a conversation. Remember what I was going back to earlier about keeping you on the platform. Yeah, that's what LinkedIn want to do. So they want to see meaningful posts. So I think there's like a 5-word plus rule that the algorithm looks at. So I'm not saying this, you should do this with every single time you comment, but if you want to support someone's post properly, then leave a meaningful comment. And if I was you, either sort of leave something insightful or that adds to the post, or pose another question to try and get the conversation going. Like, we have to remember this is a social platform, right? So we want the interaction. So the same is true. I'm saying about just leave a meaningful comment. The same is true for when you're commenting back on people commenting on your posts. I know this is getting confusing, right? So let's say someone leaves a comment on one of my posts. I don't just give it a thumbs up. I either celebrate it or I give it some love, and then you reply with something that's meaningful, right? Because someone's taken the time to support you. So make sure you take the time to respond to it in a relevant way. But this has an added bonus, because that little bot will come back and it'll look at your post and say, oh, well, Miles's post is getting some interaction. It's had so many likes and so many comments. I'm now going to open this up and show it to more people on the platform. And that sort of snowball starts to build. So it starts off by showing it to a small selection of your first contacts. Then it opens it up to more of your first contacts. And as it grows, it'll start opening it up wider and wider. And the more of your contacts that comment, the more of their contacts will see those comments. And then they may be interacting with your post as well. So this is how you sort of build your connections on LinkedIn. So you may be even having a conversation with someone that is a third connection. So there are a couple of three connections away from you, but how you can bring that in. And what I would suggest you do then is you connect with them. You send them a message. I'll come on to what you should say in terms of the message, but connect with them and say, look, thank you for supporting me. Let's connect and we can support each other. So be meaningful with your messages and don't just give that lazy like. Right, so try and be personable and what's the word I'm looking for here? Try not to be generic when you're making a request or I was going to say a friend's request, a connection request. So let's say somebody who wasn't connected with you does comment on one of your posts and you want to connect with them. What I'd say to you here is don't do it on your mobile phone necessarily, because when you click connect on your mobile phone, the default is that it sends the connection request straight away without giving you the option to write a meaningful message. So by that, I mean this. So when you're on your sort of your desktop computer and you pull up that connection and it says, do you want to just connect or do you want to write a comment? Write a comment. And write something specific like, you know, dear John, thank you so much for your comment. It was really insightful. I'd really like to support you going forward, or maybe we can support each other. It would be great to connect. Don't ram your business down their throat. Just connect with them, okay? But be meaningful. Don't just send a blank connection message. So let's just do a little roundup. We're 14 minutes in. We've had 5 do's and don'ts so far. So make your profile public and make it full. Make sure you filled it all out. Don't use external links. Do more on your personal page than your company page. Don't just like things. Leave something meaningful. Write some comments that are at least 5 words long. And do write a personal message when you're connecting to people. Now, we do have some questions. Let me just have a look here. Oh, Philip Holmes, he's sending us greetings from Kathmandu. I tell you what, we are an international bunch here. Woohoo! Let us know if you've got any questions out there and I'll see if I can answer them for you. Right, so we're halfway through. Let's pile in now to number 6. Do check your SSI. Now, what's an SSI, Miles? I hear you say. It's your social selling index. So all you need to do is just Google LinkedIn SSI and it'll take you through the sort of the process to link it to your account. But what it does is it compares you against your target, the market that you're in. So my social score, and I think I probably need to get this up a little bit, is 63 out of 100. And it's based on sort of different parameters. So maybe I need to work on some of those a little bit. But it does say that I'm in the top 4% of people that are within my industry. So I'll take that. That's not too bad. And I'm operating at 18% of people within my network. But it gives you a little barometer, if you like, to be able to see where you need to improve your activity on LinkedIn. It breaks it all down in terms of, the content that you post and the amount of connections that you have and your sort of interactions. So do check your SSI, which is your social selling index. Tip number 7, do engaging posts. All right. And this may sound like it's common sense, but just putting out there, that you're a specialist in this, and this is some of the work that you've done. It's like, yeah, great, lovely. But what about you as a person? What are the opinions that you've got? What are the things what are the pinch points that are happening within your industry? Try and get a conversation going. This is social media. Let's be social. So try and think of some engaging posts. Ask questions within your posts. Always try and ask a question. If this is X, Y, and Z, what do you think? Or what is your preferred, whatever it is you're talking about? Try and get that dialogue, that conversation going. You might even try and be a little bit provocative with that to get people's attention and to try and get them engaged with you. Okay, that's tip number 7. Tip number 8, I alluded to this earlier, but try and respond as soon as possible. So when you see someone has liked and made a comment, try and go back in as quickly as you can and like, not just that, but try and give them a little bit of that or a little bit of that, and whatever's appropriate, and write a meaningful comment, not just thanks, but something to keep the conversation going, but do it as quickly as you can. I think the bot, it comes back to your post about every half an hour or so. But what I do know, and don't think that you need to get back and you need to do things within half an hour, just try and respond timely to it, because the more the algorithm thinks that there's activity on your post, the more it's likely to promote it to a wider audience. That's the whole point of it. And it can build momentum really quite quickly. And I'll use an example of a customer that I manage certainly their LinkedIn, their social media profile for them. We posted a discussion point, let's say, without naming names, last week. And within a couple of days, it had 20,000 impressions, and it had, 80 odd likes, and it had 40 odd comments. But because I was quite timely in terms of how I responded to those, we started to see this sort of snowball reaction. And a week later, and it's had over 75,000 impressions, okay, across the post. And it's had a couple of hundred, I think it's 250, likes, thumbs ups, claps, love, and over 270 odd comments, right? Now, some of those comments include what we've commented back, but the point I'm trying to make here is that the more hype you can create, or the more interaction you can create on your posts, the more LinkedIn will think, I need to show this to more people, because people are interested in it. They'll stay on the platform for longer. Okay, so try and respond as soon as possible. Number 9, planning. I love a bit of planning. Plan your content. It doesn't need to be exhaustive. It doesn't need to be a big, long plan. But if you're like, and a lot of people ask, a lot of people, I was looking at the chat because I was seeing whether people are asking specific questions. I'll come on back to that in a second. But as far as one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how often should I post on LinkedIn? Well, my answer to this is, if you're not posting at all at the moment, then posting once, right, is more than you're currently doing. And I'd say that, keep it manageable. So maybe post once a week, yeah, and make the post really meaningful. But ideally, you want to be posting 2 or 3 times a week. I think for someone starting out, posting twice a week is absolutely adequate. And the key times to post, they seem to be first thing in the morning. So get your posts out there at 7 o'clock in the morning. That seems to be prime time. And Tuesdays and Thursdays seem to be the best days to post. All right, but there's nothing wrong with a Monday, right? But for some reason, more people are active as the week progresses. Okay, the weekend doesn't seem to be a hot spot at the moment. So if you're just starting out, I would post on a Tuesday. All right, first thing in the morning, so people can get involved. But the plan, what do I post about? Well, try and think about what's going on within your business. What do you want to talk about? Do you have a key product that you're focusing on at the moment? What are the unique selling points of your business? What about an experience that you have? All right. start making a little note. Maybe you've got some staff, maybe highlight one of your staff, highlight one of your products, highlight one of your customers, use a testimonial. There's a load of content out there. And if you're unsure still, then why don't you look at what other people are posting about and think about doing your own version of that. Number 10, where's the drum roll? Now, people that know me know that I bang on about this. Be social. Do get involved. Do be social on social media. Whatever the social media platform you're using, you've got to get on there and you've got to be involved. This is the digital version of, you know, going down the pub or leaning over the garden fence and having a chat. All right, you need to be there, you need to be present, and you need to be interacting. So my last do is do get involved, do post, do comment, do like, do engage with people, because you know, there's nothing nicer, I suppose. Just because this is a digital platform, it doesn't have to be any different than real life. Okay, so I'm just looking at the chat. I'm not going to read it out, but yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better after the old COVID, Philip. Right, so there we go. He says namaste, so namaste to you. I'm just going to do a little recap. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat quickly, because there's a little bit of a lag in terms of them coming through with the way in which this system works. So, got your pen and paper handy? Let's do the quick fire recap of LinkedIn's do's and don'ts when it comes to your account. So, do number 1, make your profile public and make sure it's fully filled in. Number 2, don't use external links within your posts. If you have to use them, place them in the first comment. Number 3, do more on your personal profile than you do on your business page. Number 4, don't just give a lazy like, leave a meaningful message and make sure it's at least five words long. Number 5, do put a personal message when you're trying to connect with someone, when you send a connection request. Number 6, do check your SSI, that's the social selling index that I talked about. Number 7, do engaging posts, ask questions, maybe be slightly provocative. Number 8, do respond as soon as possible to people commenting on your posts. Number 9, do a plan, right? At least get something down, have some rhyme or reason as to why in which you're posting. And if you're going to do it and make sure you do it every single week. Get some consistency going there. That's what people want to see. And number 10, be social on social media. Okay, how's that? Right, we're all wrapping up. Let's have a look. Oh, we got a question here from Danny. Hi, Danny. Does your rule of thumb about posting include video posts? Look, I think we talked last week about the importance of video. In terms of frequency, there's no major rule, right? But don't use all your content too quickly, I guess. So have your plan, and if you're going to post once a week, then absolutely make that video. If you've got a mixture of images and videos, then mix them up. One image, one video. I would say that if your feed was just full of video, brilliant. I would say if your feed is just full of pictures, add video. All right. You can get so much more across in terms of video content, and it's just something that we know is being consumed by everybody at the moment. So absolutely, video is absolute key. Now, I could add a whole load more of do's and don'ts to LinkedIn, but I thought I'd keep it nice and short and sweet, since this is bite size.